Welcome to our show. We are Team Awards Daily, and we're doing a Christmas New Year's special with all of us to talk to you and just talk to ourselves. But you could watch if you want. We'll try to make it somewhat entertaining. Can't make any promises there, but so hi everybody. We'll go around and say hello. I'm Sasha Stone. I'm the founder of awardsdaily.com and the absolute antagonist of Twitter. It's very nice to meet you.
Mark.
I'm Mark. I am the protagonist of Twitter, I guess.
No, what I love is that Mark has all of a sudden started taking to tweeting things like, I'd really like to tell you what I think, but this is Twitter, so I won't. And then all these people are like, what?
No.
We can have an off-air conversation about that.
I'm Clarence Moy, and we will hand it off to Ben.
Ben, I'm the person who never posts anything on Twitter.
The smart one. Okay.
Joey.
Hi, I'm Joey Moser. Usually if people start yelling at me on Twitter, I just don't say anything and hide under a blanket somewhere.
Jalal, the voice in the cloud.
Oh, it's me. Chill out. I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Megan?
Hi, Jalal.
It's me, Megan McLaughlin.
And last but not least, David.
I'm less cranky since I got married, so there's that.
Aw,
Yeah.
not nice.
Not that much, but
He's got he kind of hit pay dirt on the marriage days.
I outkicked my coverage, Mark, by some.
Well done.
All right, so we're gonna start. We're gonna talk about movies. We're gonna talk about the Oscars. We're gonna talk about things that we really liked this year, and interspersed with that, we're gonna have questions, trivia questions. Yeah, I was gonna say we could like interface with people on Twitter and ask them to ask us questions, which is what we should have done, but I didn't think of that. So, oh well. And we're gonna just ask. They're gonna ask us questions. So I guess I'd like to kick it off with, and you guys can talk to me if you think that what you think about this idea of like, now this new variant is coming in and you can feel everything starting to repeat itself. Things are starting to get canceled and people aren't going to go out anymore. And everybody's afraid on the one hand, and then on the other hand, everybody went out to see Spider-Man. But all these great Oscar movies they played and they just didn't make any money, and so people are worried about theaters, they're worried about the Oscars. So does anybody have any thoughts on that, like where we are right now and what kind of turning point we might be headed in? You can speak freely. Eddie Soldier.
No. I think something you said, Sasha, that I remember you saying was that people have gotten into different habits now. And so to kind of share my thought on this, like King Richard might be a movie that you feel like you can watch at home, right?
Yeah.
But a movie like No Time to Die, you might feel like I need to go see in a theater. And I think as much as anything, that might be it. The space between the blockbuster tentpole stuff and the sleeper hit has just gotten wider, and I think that's probably why.
What's going to be really interesting over the next month is you kind of anticipated, without the Omicron, or however you say it. I always want to say Omicron, and I think that's a hotel. The Omicron variant. Before that came, I imagined talent flocking to Los Angeles and being at all these events, being at Critics' Choice and all these things, whatever happens with the Golden Globes. But and now I feel like they're going to not do that. And so all of a sudden you look at a scenario where maybe possibly you have the talent sitting at home all through the month of January, waiting to vote and just taking in tons and tons of movies. So it's possible that you have a broader array of people watching movies than you've had in a long, long time. And maybe the nominations will reflect that.
I thought that was going to happen last year and it didn't.
But there wasn't much to choose from last year.
That's true.
I feel like if you looked, there was stuff to choose from, but that people were too lazy to do it.
Well, Joey, people were also dying last year.
People are
Oh,
still
wait,
dying.
bring it
I mean-
down.
To be fair,
Knowing
Merry
no one
Christmas.
had the time to watch movies last year.
that was really bad last year. That was like as bad as it could possibly be for the. I mean, watching those awards on virtual, the DGA and everything, it just was like, wow. You know, having done this for so long, for half my life, and watching, you know, these shows and being so excited about them and feeling all that hype, and then just to watch it like that, like if it's on a Zoom, it just flattens everything. You don't hear the applause. You know, you're not really celebrating anything. You're just kind of handing out awards, and I hope
One
it's
night I
not
saw
like that
Barry
again.
Jenkins watching an award show at a Starbucks on his laptop.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. Where couldn't you watch an awards show at this point? But, you know, are we going to have that this year? Is it really going to be like, I hope not. You know, are they going to be able to figure out a way to get people into like a tent, like the Critics' Choice or whatever? Like, you know, are we going to still have these events? So they're just canceling them right and left because nobody wants to deal with like being a super spreader event, right? So anyway, we shouldn't like make people all freaked out. This is supposed to be fun and cheery. Sorry.
Yay, holidays.
Anyway, let's lighten the mood a little.
We're off to a great
anyway.
fucking start, right? Yeah.
I haven't seen Spider-Man. Is it good? Is it actually good, or is it just like we're so desperate for any movie that we like it good?
Joey.
I'm an incredibly casual viewer to the Marvel movies. There's something like I like going to see them, even though I'm agnostic to them. I like seeing them with people who like them. And it was fine. I had a good time. I mean, by the time that you know, the other two Spider-Men show up, and
That's
they
spoiler.
Wait, you can't.
Oh, I thought everyone knew that. I'm sorry.
I actually
that was
knew.
by the
Yeah.
time-
It was spoiled like 9 months ago.
Yeah, that's true.
By the time that someone makes a joke to one of the characters, it says, where does your spider web come out of? Does it come out of everywhere? And I was like, all right, what the fuck are we doing?
Is that the moment where everyone stood up in their theaters and cheered like it was the fucking Olympics?
I
I
still
heard
don't know what that
actually-
moment was.
Was it?
I heard a couple of people, I heard somebody behind me go, oh God. I was like, okay, it's fine. It's fine. I was actually kind of mad that, I mean, if we're going to have, you know, different multiverses, if you can't bring me like every version of Marissa Tomei possible, then I'm not personally interested, but okay. I was waiting for Kirsten Dunst to show up, but
Yeah, why didn't they have?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any
All
sense.
right. No more.
That's
I
right.
don't want to hear my spoilers.
Okay, but that would have been cool, actually. I like that. But I like that people are going to the movies. It just makes me happy that this is so successful. Do you guys want to talk about your favorite films of the year, and then we'll take a question from?
Yes. Well, I don't know.
Should we throw out a question?
I think we should throw out a question.
Let's
Do
do
it.
it. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I'm going to find something that's a bit. I'm going to stick away from Oscar history. I'm going to get us warm by a little bit of an easier question. So how do we want to do this? Do we want to just throw it out and have people jump, or do you want me to call out somebody?
I want us to scream in hunger.
Okay.
For the win.
Yeah.
All right. Hunger Games style. Got it. What famous public figure won a special award presented by Shirley Temple and had 7 smaller Oscars in addition to the larger statue?
Mickey Rooney.
Walt
No.
Disney.
Oh, are we supposed to raise hands? Sorry.
No, it's fine. Just shout it out. But yes, Jalal was correct. It is Walt Disney.
What? Oh, Disney.
Oh,
Wow, good answer. Damn, I didn't know
Seven
that.
little statues.
Yeah, it's 7 dwarfs.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Should I do another one?
sure.
All right, this is an easy one. Everybody just yell it out. What film did Martin Scorsese finally win his Oscar for?
The Departed.
This is what we're
Got it.
doing.
That's too easy.
Just getting you guys warmed up. Who is
Keeping
the
it
only
silent.
who is the only Oscar winner named Oscar?
Oscar
Oh.
Hammerstein.
Correct. Good job, Joey.
was
God.
it?
Oscar
Who
Hammerstein
got
the
that?
second.
Oh.
Joey did.
Oh, nice, Joey.
Eggs are on a roll.
I'm just gonna be like for every answer, The Departed.
Oh, these are too easy. Some of them are too easy. The Academy Award for Best Makeup was not given out until 1981, after a film with incredible makeup achievements went unmentioned the year before. Which film
Elephant
helped?
Man.
Elephant Man.
Oh.
Elephant Man. It got to be Elephant Man, right?
Ooh.
Yes, it was The Elephant Man.
Saddest fucking movie I've ever seen. I've seen the whole thing, but never in one sitting because the heart can't take it.
No, it can't. It's
Can-
one of those
can-
tragic.
Ugh.
Go ahead.
Can I just say, you look at that movie and then go back to Bradley Cooper when he played it on Broadway with like a funny face? Like he didn't have prosthetics. He just held his face like this the whole time.
Okay.
Oh
okay,
my
fine,
God.
fine. But David Bowie did that years and years before that. And there's actually footage of Bowie doing it, and it's pretty
On
good.
Broadway.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe it might have been off Broadway. I'm not sure.
Oh.
But he did it before, and it was pretty fucking incredible.
John
In-
Hurt.
Well, I'm saying it's fuck Bradley Cooper. No, I don't.
Bradley or Lady Gaga's gonna stab you.
Lady
And
Gaga.
all her
Did
and all
you see
her
that?
little monsters.
Did you
Yes.
see that tweet that Clarence tweeted out about Lady Gaga? That was so funny.
Yes.
I
I wanted to
read that thing and laugh hysterically, and everybody's, my whole family's just sitting there listening to me like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, I'm making the pizza.
pizza.
The award
should
for
read it,
most
read it.
acting goes to.
And the thing is, I liked her in it. I did like her in it, but the source of the tweet was that it was right after she'd said she had a psychiatrist on set because it was too hard for her to make the movie. It was too emotionally draining, so she had to have constant psychiatric assistance. And then the person that tweets that, she goes, I love how she says all this, and then you see the movie and it's like, I'm making the pizza. Anyway,
He was in the same movie with Jared Leto, so I would probably need help too. At that. Oh, does that mean?
All right.
Sure.
This is where the reputation comes from, Sasha. I should shut up.
I'm going to ask
That
this
movie was okay. Sorry, go ahead.
this last question, and then we'll jump into what our favorite movies are for the year. Who became the first person to win an Oscar for a Netflix film in 2020?
Quaron?
Are you about acting
funny.
specifically, or are you
Laura
talking about-
Yes,
Dern.
acting. It was Laura Dern.
Laura Dern.
Oh,
Oh,
nice job.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marriage Story.
Correct.
Not my favorite movie of the year, but
Yeah. not mine
I
either.
was happy she won an award.
Sasha, you've been practicing your understatements because I think that was one.
I know. But it's pretty amazing that they got, I mean, now they've have Best Director with Quaron, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So for their big awards, they've got Best Director, and they've got Best Supporting Actress.
6
What
might
else?
still have Best Picture.
Yeah, maybe so. But they're like creeping their way in, to the Oscars. It's like the frog in the boiling water. Pretty soon, you just won't even notice, and they'll have like won every award. It's coming. I mean, I have no problem with that if they're making the best movie. I'm just saying, like, that's how things change, and they change really fast.
I just want to retroactively give Idris Elba the Oscar for Beast of No Nation. Then I'll be happy.
To not even get
Yeah.
nominated. He was so good. Yeah, that was never. I met the publicist that year at the party for that wonderful movie, and he was like, what do you think we can do? Is there anything we can do? And I said, you got to get the Netflix logo off the ads. If you get the logo off the ads, you have a chance. But because back then they were so freaked out about Netflix that they were just going to have a block, if they saw that. But they wouldn't do it. They kept it on, and they were right because they needed to brand themselves. The Amazon logo, I think, looks so bad on the Contender stuff, because it just looks like Amazon, like 2 days shipping or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're trying to rebrand. That's their whole point. Like, they don't even want to bother doing it if they can't rebrand their logo. All right. Do we have a question?
No, that was we'll pause
that was
now,
it.
and then we'll pause. We'll take a breather from the questions, and then we'll go. We'll come back to it if you'd like, but we'll do our roundtable of favorite films of the year.
Yeah, let's do it. Mark, you want to go first? I'll go last on that because I do enough talking.
Mine is Belfast. It's been Belfast since we saw it in Telluride, and it will always be Belfast.
Anything else you really liked? Like, what are your top 5?
Ooh, a lot that I liked a lot. I guess Power of the Dog I'd put in there. Come on would be up there. Dune. And rounding out the 5, maybe Licorice Pizza.
Cool.
Which is all of Sasha's least favorite film.
No, it's not. No, it's not my least favorite. I just know it's not. All right. What's next? Moving on.
Ben, what about you?
Well, so far, I still feel like there's a lot I haven't seen. I still haven't gotten to Licorice Pizza. I almost saw West Side Story, but haven't gotten to that. And I feel like there's a lot of indie foreign stuff like The Worst Person in the World and Drive My Car that I'd really like to get to. But Power of the Dog has been my favorite since I saw it. And what's really interesting for me on that is I've never really been a Jane Champion fan. I've seen half of her work. I think she actually has made the worst movie ever with Sweetie. Anyone seen that?
Oh, wow.
And I think you mean you've never been a Jane Campion champion, right?
Yeah. I've been either indifferent or just, she's been fine, but nothing. But what she really did with that film, I remember just seeing the trailer and going, I don't care that I haven't liked anything of hers in the past. This just looked amazing, and it exceeded my expectations. I loved every moment of the film. And I even made a kind of comment with Sweetie. I felt like she overdid the look of the film. It was too colorful. And here, ironically, she had very subdued use of her colors, so even that was something I just kind of noticed as a great progression for her. And I don't really have a top 5, but my second is actually Luca, the Pixar movie, which I saw just because I was going to be interviewing the director and the composer, and I didn't think it looked like it was going to be that interesting of a Pixar film based on the previews, and I thought it was very, very funny, very emotional, very small story compared to sort of the grandeur that Pixar tries to do, and it really just got to me in a way that I thought this is just absolutely great. It's been my favorite Pixar movie since Inside Out. So
Nice. Megan, what about you?
I was thinking I think I have about 4. I still need to see some things, but I really love Coda. I really loved Procession, the documentary on Netflix. About that just kind of blew my mind the way it's done. I really liked, I'm missing something. There's something in my top 2. I can't remember right now what it is. I love The Lost Daughter. That's probably my number 1. The Lost Daughter. I'm missing something else I can't remember right now. I had it and I can't remember. I really like The Last Duel too. I really like that one. I'm missing something, but yeah, I was blown away by The Lost Daughter. I mean, there were a lot of great films that came out that this year that I liked. I love Belfast. I love Power of the Dog, but I don't know, Lost Daughter just has really stuck with me, and I would like to see it again. So,
Jalal, what about you?
Me? Let me pull up my letterbox.
It's a good idea.
I really loved The Power of the Dog. I second Megan on The Lost Daughter. I saw it on Friday and I was blown away. It had everything that I need in cinema, including drunken Bon Jovi singing. I really loved Barb and Star. So that's 3. I liked Shiva Baby, and I really was blown away by The Souvenir Part 2. And I don't know if this counts. I'm going over 5 because I don't know if it counts or not. Joey, help me. It was the Oscar nominee in foreign language film last year. So it's like kind of 2020, kind of 2021. And it's, how do I pronounce it, Joseph? Say it.
Quo Vita Aida. That one.
Yeah. I think there's no better film than that film in the past like 3 years. And anyone
Wow.
in the best actress race
Oh,
is shit
good.
compared to her. Like they should just like quit acting, including Kristen Stewart. And
Ouch.
I think she's phenomenal. Like I think she is phenomenal. Like she just makes everyone next to her look terrible. She's that good. And everyone should see it.
That's
Even
high
Barack
praise.
Obama's interns think you should watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
That curated list for sure. Yes.
I'm gonna check it out just because of that
Oh, it's so good.
recommendation. Yeah.
I think it's on Hulu.
It is on Hulu, yeah.
It is. Oh, it's so good.
I didn't know it was that good.
David.
Do I look Irish? I mean,
Yeah.
Because you love Belfast?
Yes, I love Belfast. God damn it, I love Belfast. And I'm always confused by how people could hate it. There's a reason not to like anything, but hating Belfast is just a strange choice to me. But talking about top five, and I hate doing this because like in 10 years I'll feel differently, but if I'm alive, Power of the Dog, Spencer, sorry, Jalal. I thought
No, I don't hate Spencer. I just let me clarify. That was just she is like the front runner, and everyone thinks she's God's gift to earth, and she's not compared to that woman.
that's fine.
I
she's
enjoyed
wonderful
Spencer.
in the
I
movie,
enjoyed
though.
Spencer. I want it on the record.
Let's see. I got more to say. All right. The Velvet Underground documentary. I'm a big Lou Reed stan. So, and also the way that it was done felt like if Andy Warhol knew how to direct, that's what it was. That's what a documentary would look like. So I thought it was pretty great. Let's see. The Harder They Fall, which I think was like the best time I had watching a movie all year. And I also think when you get to the end of it, it adds up to more than it appears to be while you're watching it. Like when you're having a good time and all of a sudden Idris Elba like does the thing that he does. And it was the best on-screen death since he died in The Wire. So I hope someone's not spoiling anything that he died.
I haven't seen it.
And then I would say the last third of The Last Duel. I know this is kind of cheating. I thought the first 2/3 was a little bit of work, and I thought Matt Damon was particularly fucking awful. And I like Matt Damon a lot, but I just thought he looked constipated the entire time, and that's not really great. But Jodie Comer in that last third, oh dear, yeah, just amazing. So,
She's great.
Joey.
I really love West Side Story. That movie. Sorry, my husband is bringing me wine. I love West Side Story. I love The Humans. I love Tick Tick Boom. I like some like Power of the Dog. Some like thank you. Some stuff like smaller stuff like the Beta Test. I loved the Beta Test. And some queer movies that I really liked were Mafi was like a gay war movie, and
Mafi is wild.
What?
It's wild.
I was surprised how much I liked it. And there was a movie that I saw last year that came out this year that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. It's available on Amazon now. It's called Minion, which is about like
is it a Minion sequel?
I hope not. It's about a Jewish closeted guy in the 80s, like sort of coming of age story, but it's kind of like right before like the AIDS crisis hit. So it's sort of like you can tell that his coming of age is going to come to a screeching halt, like even after the movie is over, because he discovers who he is, and he's part of a religion that, especially at that time, is not going to probably accept him. Yeah, I really love that movie. That movie sort of like haunted me for like a year and a half. Oh, and I love Finch from Apple. Tom Hanks with a dog and a robot. Love that movie. So.
I thought you were going to go with Cicada.
I love Cicada too. Another queer movie that I like.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So before we hand it back to you, Sasha, my favorite film of the year remains Power of the Dog, although like many of you, I have still things yet to catch up on, but Power of the Dog is my favorite. I also love The Last Duel, which I found despite some inequity in performances, I still found it the filmmaking to be just fantastic. And then a trifecta of musicals: West Side Story, Tick Tick Boom, and Cyrano. Those are, I haven't done my top 10 list yet.
Not Dear Evan Hansen.
I don't mind Dear Evan Hansen. I know it's the punching bag of the world, but I did not mind it. I mean, you watching that film, you either accept Ben Platt as an 18-year-old or you don't, and it is weird and it does take a little bit to get over it, but it is what it is.
If we're all watching Riverdale, we can accept Ben Platt.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen bigger. I mean, you look at Grease. I mean, those kids were not 16 and 18; they were like 30s.
Dr. Channing was
Yes.
32.
Yeah.
Who's watching Riverdale here, though?
All of us, Ben, except for you. Goodbye.
I watched a YouTube channel about making fun of it. Does that count?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yay.
All right, Sasha.
All right. You guys all have better taste than me. It's so sad. After all these years, I still have such a limited scope. I just don't. I'm one of those people that just doesn't venture out very often. I have to really be pushed into seeing movies that I wouldn't normally see. So my list is really like weird because I liked a lot of movies that people just don't even think about or care about, like Respect. I really liked, and I liked In the Heights. These aren't like Oscar-y movies, but the both of those movies I found to be really good storytelling. They didn't capture the buzz, but these are solid movies that you could sit anybody down in front of and they'll find something. I think I recommended Respect to more people than any other movie, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, like no one wanted to see it. But it's probably not my favorite movie of the year. I have to give that to West Side Story, I guess. I just think that nothing else even comes close to that movie. But if there is any that comes close, it's Power of the Dog. And I just watched Drive My Car yesterday, and it's good. Of course, it's it's accomplished. It's interesting. It's moody and very, very long, very long. But I was thinking, how could Power of the Dog not have been so obviously the better film? Like if you're a critics group, how could you not have looked at Power of the Dog and said, that is astonishing compared? I could see how they like Drive My Car, but I didn't come away from it thinking, that is like the greatest thing I've ever seen. They obviously felt differently. But so Power of the Dog would definitely be up there. Belfast is up there. King Richard is up there. The Last Duel for sure is up there. It's a movie that, once we pass through all this misery, I'll probably watch again. It's been a weird year though, I have to say. Like usually there's one movie that I can watch over and over and over again, but I didn't have that movie this year. There's not one that I've even revisited a second time, except for Power of the Dog. That's the only one, and that's because it gets better the second time. Once you know a little bit more of the backstory, you start to fill it in a little bit. It deepens so much, and that's why I try to tell people, if you didn't get it the first time, watch it again, and pay really close attention. The second time, it really does reveal itself. It's just so accomplished. It's so good. So that's me. That's all I got for you. I should see more films from other countries. That's the truth. I'm very too American centric. That's always been my problem.
Mhm.
Oh, and The Lost Daughter, I should have liked that movie more, but because I had like a visceral reaction to it because of, I just couldn't watch the kids be upset and be in pain. Like it just bothered me too much. It's like watching Pig or, John Wick or whatever. Like I couldn't do that after 18 years of raising my daughter, where like any cry that she had or any upset that she had would send me off into like a crazy 5-car alarm fire. So watching this movie as this stuff is going on with the kids, it's hard for me to focus on everything else. I should probably try to watch it again to see if I could, see a different movie, because everybody else seems to really love it,
As someone who loved it also, with Megan, I have a question for everyone that I've been thinking about. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter repeatedly refer to it as an erotic thriller. And as someone who loves it, I don't understand that label at all.
I don't either.
'Cause I watched it a second time after I heard people saying that, and I would actually say the second time I watched it, since I knew some of the beats, especially with like some of the awkward biting things that Olivia Colman said, I was sort of more amped up to see that, but I never sort of got that label either, and I was sort of looking for it. Maybe
It's like an erotic thriller is like Basic Instinct, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Body heat.
There you go.
I also laughed that they say it's about like a terrible woman, like, which I guess because I just think the character's complicated. I don't necessarily think she's a good person or bad person, but I like, it's funny seeing the descriptions of her that are like she's this terrible person, and I don't know. I really appreciate it. I just like the direction. I need to watch the ending again. Another one I really liked, I forgot to mention, is Red Rocket, which I kind of feel like has a similar like ending where you're like, what did I just watch? I just love, can't stop thinking about The Lost Daughter.
I liked how I did like how they were wrestling with her character. I found her wrestling with her situation.
Yeah.
She's a lot like the mother in Succession. You know, as we come to the end of Succession, there's a similarity there. But I like that when she went off with that guy, when she goes off with the lover and leaves her kids, like, I just couldn't forgive her for that. I mean, I hate that about myself, but I couldn't. I was like, fuck you. Don't do that to your kids. Who do you think you are? Why is your happiness more important than these children? It's not. But I understand that a lot of women feel that way. They become mothers and they don't understand why they're doing it. Sorry, I cursed.
It's kind of similar, like Kramer versus Kramer type of debate about like Meryl Streep's character a bit, like in that, like it's very. I just like that it exists too. I just like that we're able to have these conversations about it. That like that she is so like. I love the scene. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but I love the scene in the beginning. You haven't seen it yet? There's just a scene where like this family asks her to move her stuff. And as somebody who's always alone and like I will go places, people have not even asked me, they've just moved my stuff because I'm alone. And so I know that feeling. And so when she says like, no, like, and they're like, oh, she's rude. And I thought, no, she's standing up for every single woman or every woman who's been alone, who maybe is married or whatever. But like, it's almost like, you don't matter. We're going to move your stuff. You're by yourself. So I really
I liked that.
That
scene. I also like how she is. I did like that she was just such a crazy character, and they didn't feel the need to apologize for her. They didn't feel the need to make her more palatable. She was just unapologetic, and of course because she's such a great actress that she's able to find the humanity. And she's helped you. You're watching her, and she's so good that you're really just studying her face to try to figure out what is going on. And all of that I would have loved, but the little crying toddler and all that, like it just.
I can understand that takes you out of. I did like that Maggie Gyllenhaal, when I saw her talk in Savannah, she said that she was like inspired by Jane Campion, which I thought was really interesting. How it's all full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Two really interesting women who are willing to tell stories that are unusual. Like you brought up Sweetie as being like one of the worst movies you've ever seen, but that's what I love about it. Like it's so offensive. It's so unbelievably offensive. Like any film that can be, to me, like that deliberately offensive, there's some value to that. Like, because it really was like.
I find it offensive. I just found it really, really dull that we just had this bland woman go with a bland guy for no reason, and then we just have this annoying woman show up, and I just got nothing out of the experience. So I wasn't offended. I was just thinking this is bad filmmaking, but. She's redeemed herself with Power of the Dog now, so it's all good.
Champion is the most...
did it take 30 years for her to redeem herself?
I thought the piano was pretty fucking good, but I mean, Campion's the most transgressive filmmaker probably of her era. She doesn't give a shit. I love her.
Justice for
so true.
Yeah, she did. It was funny seeing her. Mark, Sasha and I were in Telluride, and they did a tribute for her, and it was right after she'd gotten off the plane coming back from Venice, where Power of the Dog premiered, and she was very tired. She had a sore throat or something. She didn't have COVID or anything like that, but she just was worn down from the trip, obviously. And this, I don't remember who the moderator was. Was it Rebecca from the Hollywood Reporter, Rebecca Keegan?
Yeah, that was a really awkward Q&A, man.
Yeah,
That was
she
rough.
had traditional Q&A type questions, and Jane Campion just was like, I don't care. I don't want to answer this question. I don't. And in the end, she said basically my throat, and just kept drinking water, and she was just pointing to her throat, and she just basically shut the whole thing down. It was quite remarkable, actually.
Wasn't it good? That was one of the worst Q&As, and it wasn't her fault. It wasn't Rebecca's fault. It didn't go well. Like, I don't think she knew quite what to ask her, and she's kind of an interesting person. Obviously, she's when I met her, as you know, I burst into tears humiliatingly in front of Oscar bloggers. It was really awkward, but she was so nice. She was patting me on my back, and she was saying, "We love it when women cry." Like, for some reason, she really liked that weirdness scene, as opposed to like any normal person would have just been like, "Oh my God, what is this crazy woman?" Just, but that's her, like she definitely seems to get a kick out of those sort of odd moments, and being in the normal awards circuit isn't. And who's also like that is Kristen Stewart. I noticed she's also not able to just sort of do the stuff you're supposed to do and say the stuff you're supposed to say. So people always misread that as she's grumpy or she's bitchy or whatever, but she's just not very traditional in terms of giving canned answers to stuff,
I don't know. I think Kristen Stewart's done a really good job of playing the game and looking really enthusiastic this season. It's other people that have misconstrued what she said in headlines.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes,
maybe.
let's not. Yes, we all know what that one is. So we talked about Kristen Stewart. We talked about Olivia Colman. I'm interested. Who are
we
so
doing
named,
best actress? Best actress.
No, I wanted to say, who are your favorite performances this year? What are your favorite performances this year?
Of any of the 4 categories, or in general?
Any performance, supporting or lead. I think mine has been Andrew Garfield in Tick, Tick, Boom. I think it's has stretched himself in incredible ways, learning to play the piano for this, learning to sing like a Broadway composer, and then I think giving a very challenging performance in that he's not an entirely likable person, but I still cared about it.
There's a lot of some of the reactions to that character that I'm glad have died down a little bit, because when people were calling him like a really awful person, and stuff like that, it's sort of I think I said this to you, Clarence, privately. It was sort of like he was a real person, and he died, and he watched all of these people around him die, and he sort of I don't know, I sort of rebuke that kind of criticism a little bit, just because I can't remember who it was. Was it Thomas Lafferty who said something about like, oh, you want your movies to be entirely about characters who do great things and do noble things? That's not interesting. And I rewatched Tick, Tick, Boom recently, when he says something like, I'm the future of musical theater. And that is sort of a line where you're kind of like, ugh, like, okay. But
Joey, is that critique more like, just because I'm curious of what like you're responding to people saying, is it more they're talking about Jonathan Larson specifically, or talking about the character Jonathan within the film?
I thought it was a response to how he's characterized in the movie. I think they were responding to the movie itself. I'm not sure if the people that I saw saying that were responding to Jonathan Larson the person. I'm not sure. I got the impression that they were responding to the material that they saw in Tick, Tick, Boom.
I didn't really pick up that he was a bad guy or an unlikable guy. I mean, to me, I read the most amazing, I wish I could find it for you guys, but it was a status update on Facebook by this older dude I know, who's like a writer in Hollywood, definitely your boomer set type. Not the most, he's sort of acerbic and everything. He wrote the longest, most heartfelt thing about Tick, Tick, Boom, about how it moved him, about how it was about the artistic process, and about how he had never seen any movie really capture that spirit. And it reminded me a little bit of Shakespeare in Love, actually, that movie, because it's just this sort of whirlwind of talent, trying to navigate life and fame and money as we know where he's headed. He's headed for a death too soon, right at the moment where he succeeds. And the cool thing about that movie is, I think, the pace of it, right? Because the pace of it is like, that's the smart thing that Lin-Manuel Miranda did, is he really did emphasize the fact that this guy was moving so fast, and then tick, tick, boom, boom, done, over. But it's the speed that he's moving through his life, and the way that he, you know, is kind of working through his relationships and his, I mean, it's just, it's so alive, that movie. You know, I didn't really connect with it, I think, as much as some other people maybe, but I didn't come away thinking he was not a good person. I just I think some of the criticisms I heard was like, you know, we don't want to watch a movie about a guy who's so narcissistic, all he's thinking about is his own creative process, and we're supposed to care about that, you know. Well, yeah, we are supposed to care about that, because when you create great art, it's here forever. And it matters, you know. Sorry, but it does. It matters that Shakespeare wrote those plays. You know what I mean? Like, it matters that Jonathan Larson made Rent. Like, that is something that he produced. And Lin-Manuel Miranda made, you know, Hamilton, and then he's got this. But I mean, like, the art itself is so important, you know. And so maybe he does come off as self-important, and we're supposed to understand that. I don't know, but aren't you fascinated by how, for instance, Darwin came up with his theory of the finches and evolution? And aren't you fascinated by how an artist can come up with something like that? Like, come on, why wouldn't you be? You know,
Reason why
some people are
art.
into the process. Go ahead.
Sorry, Sasha. I was just thinking the reason why we love most of the artists we love, like my favorite musician is Prince, but you know, he was probably
really?
Yeah,
that's so surprising.
Yeah, I know, right? But he might have been a difficult guy to be in a band with, right? I mean, you know, and there's a certain part and parcel that goes with being obsessively into your art. That, I mean, I like, I don't really like musicals that often, but Tick, Tick, Boom, I did enjoy. And I love the part where he is, you know, he's got this song missing from his musical, and he's having this semi-breakup with his girlfriend, and he's thinking about how he can use this as a song in the musical that he's missing.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's like, you can't, you know, what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to be, I mean, so Michael Jordan wasn't a nice person. It's okay. I mean, that's typical. Miles Davis wasn't a nice person. Picasso was an asshole. There's actually a song called Picasso Was an Asshole. I mean, you know, I think, you know, if you really want to like the people who make the art that you love, it's a losing game. It's just a losing proposition.
For sure. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Performances. Mark, are you still awake?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there.
Okay, good. I'm so sorry we're keeping you up on a school
No, you're
night.
good. Couple performances. I'll name a couple.
He's
Maybe
like,
that others.
oh, that's a couple.
I was writing down a list because I was trying to
Okay,
think through
good.
it. So I'll name a couple that maybe others will not name, and I'll say I really loved Mahershala Ali in Swan Song. I thought he was.
Yeah, I
terrific.
gotta see that, man. Damn.
I liked it. I know it's kind of mixed reviews. I liked it. I thought he was terrific, and
His
really
first
loved,
lead performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they're billing it. Like, they're calling it his first lead performance, which is kind of extraordinary. He talked about it. It's kind of extraordinary to think about.
Yeah,
it is.
He's
actually
terrific. And then I'd add Gabby Hoffman. I liked a lot in Come On. I like Sanaya Sidney a lot in King Richard. She plays Venus. And then the cast, of course, of Belfast: Balfe, Hines, Dornan, and Dench, and of course Hill. The whole
Little
cast.
Jude Hill. Did you like Belfast, Mark? No,
It's pretty good. Yeah, I kind of like
I
it.
sat with Mark. You know, we went to and the funny thing is about Telluride is like, and it's Oscar season in general, is like you want everybody to like everything you like, you know. And you're going to see all these movies, and it's like my daughter Emma, when she was a kid, she always wanted me to like everything she liked, and if I didn't, it was like the end of the world for her. So when I figured that out, I knew I had to like everything that she liked, no matter what it was, Twilight crap, whatever it was. Like, I had to pretend to like it, because it just destroyed. And that's, I think, how we all were. So I remember sitting with, you know, our Telluride crew and being like, oh no, they don't like that movie. But I was so happy when I was sitting next to you during Belfast, and you were just enjoying it so much. I was like, oh, good. Mark found a movie that he actually really likes here in Telluride.
For an old man, that 90-minute time is a bonus for me. So I've seen Belfast 3 times in theaters, which for me ties my record for most in a theater. So it hasn't gotten old yet for me. So
Out
yeah.
of curiosity,
will-
what does it tie with?
It is tied with Jurassic Park and The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. So
Ooh.
those were both theater movies, and Belfast, doesn't have to be a theater movie, but I love it. And actually 2 of the times I saw it was at a film festival, so I don't know if that counts, but it was theater.
Kind of doesn't count, but
If it doesn't count, fine.
I
It's
just have to
fine.
say that Benedict Cumberbatch might have given the best performance of the year in Power of the Dog. I don't know, he's not going to win, but I saw that performance and I was just like, whoa, man, that is like, it kept me up all night thinking about it, how good it was. It's
I
so,
I
Go ahead.
stink and I like it. I stink and I like it. Best line of the year. Best line reading of the year, I think.
yeah.
I wouldn't
And
say
then-
he's not going to win.
The scene with when he's on the stairs and she's playing the piano and he's doing the banjo, like that's so unbelievable. You just look at his face during that, and I didn't get that. So this is a spoiler. Was this a spoiler? Trying to just tell a spoiler. No, I'm gonna spoil the thing right now. No, but when she, the ending of that movie, like you don't necessarily, I don't think, get the whole thing until, in any way I didn't until I saw it again. And I explained to my friend Michael, like he saw it, he really loved it. He loved Power of the Dog. He didn't quite get the ending, that what happens, right? But I think once you know that is how it ends and you know who's doing it and, the movie is completely different because then you can really see all the places where it leads up to that point, So I would put that one as one of the best for the men that I saw. I thought Kristen Stewart was amazing as Princess Diana, just incredible performance. And Jennifer Hudson as Aretha Franklin. I know I'm the only person talking about that movie, but she's amazing in that. She's amazing in that movie as her, and especially the singing scenes. But she really does nail all of the scenes. And that's not easy to do, man. Playing Aretha Franklin's a tall order, but she does it. She does it from the. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, did you watch Nat Geo's Aretha?
I didn't. I saw some clips of it on YouTube because I was like, do I need to see this? Because is she going to be so much better than Jennifer Hudson's? But I didn't think so when I saw the clips.
I think Cynthia Erivo is actually better. But that's just me.
no.
Yeah.
Well, it
I
might
think
not be
Cynthia-
just you. Other people might feel that way too,
I really was blown away by Cynthia Erivo. I thought she was really good. I recommend it.
I should watch it, but I did some clips because I was like, I want to see if Jennifer Hudson's better.
Well, they're
And
two
she's-
different performances. Like they're two different ways of attacking the character. Like
Yeah.
Cynthia Erivo kind of tried to do more of like an impersonation, whereas I think Jennifer Hudson is just like little intonations and stuff, but kind of like a different reading of the character, I think, or real life version.
That's interesting. I should watch that. I have 2
Mhm.
record players from that series on my shelf over here that
Yeah.
they sent out as swag. If anybody wants them, I'm happy to send them to you. They're just sitting here. I need to do something with them. But I should watch it. It's the least I can do, goodness sakes. But what about you guys? Who else thought of standout performances? Anybody else?
Anjanou Ellis is really good in King Richard.
Mhm.
She was somebody who I think that role is also very well written, and that it's like not a typical supporting wife role, but she does something though, even in a scene where like Will Smith is making decisions without her, and she kind of like, you could see her face, like her acting of like, you didn't include me in this, like, and I'm your wife, and she does a lot by not saying something, and I just thought it was a big breakout performance for her, and I think she's kind of in the lead of the pack for supporting actress.
Wow, she's not beating Ariana DeBose though.
I still have to
West
see
Side.
that though, so I have to see. There's a lot I have to catch up on, but
All right.
Joey, what about you?
I love Ariana DeBose in West Side Story. I love Andrew Garfield and Tick Tick Boom. I would say somebody that two people that I really, or a couple people. I love Ruth Negga in passing. She reminds me of Blanche Dubois a little bit. I'm fascinated watching her watch stuff. I want to know what she's thinking. I really liked Nina Arianda in Being the Ricardos as Vivian Vance. She's
Oh, so good.
She has this like really fascinating arc of a woman who sees how people perceive her, and she's fighting really hard and she's being very vocal about it. And she's like she won a Tony Award. She's a Broadway actress. I love her. I think she's a wonderful actress. I would say one of my favorite performances in a movie that I don't think very many people saw, that I fell in love with. There's a movie called Blue Bayou, directed and written by Justin Chon, and he is actually the star of it as well. He plays like a tattoo artist in New Orleans, and his girlfriend is played by, oh god, what's her name? Danish girl.
Vikander.
Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, Alicia Vikander. There's something about him. He broke my heart in that movie, about a guy who's a Korean American who keeps getting into trouble, and ICE takes him away. And it's I don't know. I think that movie, a lot of people didn't like it who saw it, but I was so captivated by him. I wish somebody like a critics group would pick him up, but I think he's wonderful.
So weird how they just kind of pick the movies that they like and then everything else gets discarded. And they're in their own way, they're a lot like the Oscars. They do have the movies that hold on to buzz and movies that don't, and all these years later you look back and you think, God, that was a really good movie. Why didn't anybody pay any attention to it?
Also, a little bonus, if anybody wants to, I didn't know Alicia Vikander can kind of sing. She sings the Linda Ronstadt song Blue Bayou. She sings it in the movie. Who knew? She could sing.
If you do a YouTube search of her, you can see her as a little kid singing. It's a really cute video. She started out she did singing and dancing. I had no idea either. Like, she was like a child kind of prodigy in that way. Really cute little Alicia Vikander too. Yeah.
Talking about Being the Ricardos, I'd like to toss out Nicole Kidman as Lucille Ball. I mean, I think this is one of her very best performances, if not maybe top 3 for me for sure. She's fantastic in there. Agreed. Megan, what about you? Or did you already go? You went. Anjanalis.
I already went, yeah.
Ben.
Well, Sasha stole mine because Benedict Cumberbatch pretty much that's been the performance of the year for me. I've liked him in other things, but this was a new level. The whistling he does.
Oh yeah.
His facial. He could have been such a one-dimensional villain, and they gave him so much extra depth. I mean, the scene where he's staring out at the mountain with Cody, and Cody says something that causes him to freak out was great. I've had bad luck finding other performances I've really liked this year. I have to admit, I'm one of the persons who didn't really get into Tick Tick Boom, and if somebody could explain why Will Smith in King Richard is such a big thing for the Oscars, I would be more thankful, because I really truly do not get why that performance is getting so much buzz.
As a person who didn't love King Richard, I think it's in part because he's acting again, to be honest. I mean, I think Will Smith is often just being Will Smith. I'm actually kind of with you a little bit, Ben. I think he's getting a little extra credit for actually playing a character for once, as opposed to playing a version of Will Smith. But that I think I'm not in love with it. I think Anjanae Ellis was amazing. I do agree with that, but I'm not in love with it either.
I thought she was good in the movie. I wish she had more screen time. I would have actually preferred to have seen a movie about her, but I don't even get why the movie is so loved. To me, it's the generic sports movie that we get every so often. It just happens to have Will Smith and Anjanae Ellis in it, and that one is just one of my big. Every year there's always a big question mark for me on some Oscar movie, and King Richard just happens to be it this year for me.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to come back to you on certain movies to see how a movie's. I like that you're honest, and that you're not just going with the flow. I think the reason that movie's doing well, and honestly, the reason he's doing well, is because I think that the story itself, that he's, that he was a father of all these girls at a town when they had everything against them, right? South Central LA is, at the time that they were growing up, there wasn't a lot of options. It wasn't like now where, there's an effort to try to pull people out of that. But back then, they had so many things. They had so many things against them. Like, for instance, that nobody thought that they could play in tennis, which is a mostly white sport, right? Dominated by, you're what do they call it? When you're put into something, you're born into it, or you're made as a tennis star because you're in this elite group. And he just said, you know what, screw it, man, I'm going to bring him in. I don't care what you think. And I love that about him. And he, if it hadn't been for him, they never would have become Venus and Serena Williams, the two of the greatest tennis players ever, And I think that story is just worth telling. And I think that is the power of him and the power of the movie. I really do think it's more about the real story, that it's an amazing story, and that he just was like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm not listen, I'm reading a biography of Winston Churchill and George Orwell, which is a great biography, one of the best I've ever read. And of course, George Orwell was an anti-Semite. And Winston Churchill was a very obstinate, stubborn, awful human being in a lot of ways. But, when you got Hitler about to take over the world, the one guy that sees it coming, the one guy, the only guy, is Winston Churchill. And so in this story, it's the only guy who could have gotten Venus and Serena Williams to become the greatest tennis player is this one guy. I think that's what makes it.
For me, the biggest issue isn't that the story itself could be worth telling, but him as a character is so. They introduce these ideas about him and then never really delve into it. They mention like his son growing up, and I'm never clear what he's bringing to the table beyond being told to me he's brilliant and that he pushed them. And I would like so much more for them to have to give me more for that character as a film. I'm not denying what he did was probably brilliant, but I just don't think as a film it really captured that in a way that made me very intrigued with him or what happened to his daughters, even knowing what they did. So that's
fair. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think that's a side effect of what I've been taught. I don't know that much about Richard Williams, but my in-laws are big tennis fans, big tennis players. They have followed tennis for decades, and it's whitewashing essentially. It's leaving out things that made him a more challenging character. Aspects of his personality, things, the reason why in the end of the film he is outside of the venue while she is playing that big game, which is because he was kicked out because he was so aggressive. They would not let him go in and watch the performance.
I would have loved to have seen that part.
Yeah,
that would have been great to see in the movie.
It would have made it a more rounded character, I think.
That was my struggle with the movie. I felt like they went 2/3 of the way there, not all the way there. And I'm a big tennis head, so like for me, none of this was all that surprising, like story. But you can find interesting ways to tell a story that people are familiar with, and I didn't think the movie did a great job of that, to be perfectly honest. I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it's a pretty good movie, but I also think if it would have been a TV movie in the 80s, you would go, that's a really good TV movie in the 80s.
Mark, you were going to say something, I think.
Yeah, I think what it shows him do, or what his value in the equation is he blocks and tackles, right? He's the one that's paving the way for them in this setting that they are in, where they're not part of that country club, but he's helping them get seen despite where they're from. There's that God, I forget what I was gonna say. There was one scene. Oh, the scene where Venus is being interviewed, and Richard stops the interview, like tells him she already answered that, right? So his role is like that guardian and that protector and that pathway to help them. He sees the talent he helps coach it, but knows he's not a good enough coach, has to get them to these other places. So his role in it is getting them in where they need to be successful. The blocking and tackling, as we say in the football
actually
world.
In the
think
sports ball.
Yeah.
I actually think that it is a very complex. I don't. I mean, I could see where it might be whitewashed, but I feel like I left the theater thinking this is a very nuanced portrayal of a character who's not, by any means, a hero. Like, I think I appreciated that scene where it's revealed that he's like abandoned his sons in a sense, or just neglects them. I think I kind of liked not knowing everything. I kind of liked having that mystery of he's just pushing these girls and wants them to do better, but he's a complicated man with a past that they could have gone into, and maybe that would have given me reason to not like him or like him. But I liked not knowing and just having him be this mystery kind of to everyone, including his family.
I guess sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I kind of like that kitchen scene. I thought about that scene between him and Anjanou Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
She's so fucking good in that scene. And the thing is, you root for him and you're on his side. You see him like, go against these young guys who, are saying awful things about his daughters. And then I liked how the movie sort of pulled the rug out from the audience a little bit. It actually, a lot of things that the movie didn't answer, it actually made me want to go research more about who he was. And I think that is sort of a strong sign of what the movie introduces to us. And I think also in that sense, it introduces, this family and the love and the family dynamic between them. And it's sort of like hands off, the end of the movie to sort of the success of these young women, which I think is very interesting. So I don't know. I was surprised by how strongly I felt about that movie. I watched it at home. I was just like, oh wow, I had such a good time watching it, and I immediately recommended it to like every single person I possibly could.
It's also well edited. I think the sports scenes are really well done, which I was surprised about, because I generally hate sports movies because it feels like Lifetime movies, but this one I thought was really well done.
Yeah, and I think a part of it for me is that I follow Venus on Serena, actually. I should follow Venus on Instagram, and I just love her so much on that. And it's like so I always wondered, what is it about her that I like so much, and this movie answered that for me, because I think he instilled in them, like, I love the scene where he shows them Cinderella, and you think, okay, here it comes, he's going to teach them that, Disney only made movies for white princesses and this and that. But that isn't what he says. He teaches them a lesson that's much bigger than that. And he teaches them to always be humble and to be grateful and to be kind and to be positive. And I know that a lot of people on Twitter, their problem with it was that it was about him. And they didn't like the fact that it wasn't about the girls, and that they wanted a story about Venus and Serena. They want to know, what made them such great tennis stars. But I don't think you can tell that story without telling the story of their dad,
Well, and that's too bad that that's what they wanted. This is called King Richard. It's about him, right? It's about him.
It couldn't be more obvious.
And it's about where they came from and part of how they turned into the class acts that they are, right? With the way that he and his wife raised them. Like you're saying with the Cinderella stories and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I'm a fan of the movie. Until you're right, I compared it to The Blind Side, and I stand by that. It's a better version of The Blind Side. I know, but to answer the original question, I think that Ben had, I think it was Ben, about why Will Smith is the front runner. I think the easiest comparison is Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side, right? It's an inspirational sports movie. It's a feel-good movie. It's somebody that's, Will Smith. I get he's a rapper.
Box office cloud.
He's made some huge movies. He's a movie star. I know he was a rapper and a TV star first, but he's a movie star. And I think it's the type of role that's hard to deny because it's likable. Now we'll see if enough people see it, because I know its box office wasn't much, and HBO ratings I think weren't much on it. So and right now the critics aren't going for him. NBR is the only thing he's won.
I have a
Yeah,
question
but-
about that because
Yeah.
a lot of people have just raised the same point you did, Mark, about, oh, critics aren't going for Will Smith and King Richard.
Yeah.
In what world were they ever going to vote for Will
Yeah.
Smith over Benedict
Yeah.
Cumberbatch,
Right.
over Andrew Garfield, over so many other
You're-
people? Like,
You're right. It's kind of where I haven't lost hope on Belfast yet, which hasn't
I would-
done well with the critics either.
Well, that was never going to either. But I
that
would
was
argue
never going to either.
no,
Right.
King Richard did really well at the Globes. Overperformed.
Nominations,
I would argue. Yeah.
They're it's the film's doing fine, and he's doing fine with nominations. He's just not winning yet. With critics, like you said, Cumberbatch is going to win.
Oh, if we don't
Garfield's
have a
gonna win.
year where they don't get up and have people clap, it's going to be such a bummer again.
Well, I
we
guarantee you
need to
this year
see
they will
that.
not close with Best Actor.
They
You're
have- we have
welcome
to
to the
hear-
Oscars. Let's do Best Actor first.
Oh God, Steven Soderbergh,
Anything
why?
Anything.
I just want to say in the interim here, since I'm on the West Coast and it's only 7:20 for me, it's late for you guys. So you let me know.
Yeah,
when
we're
you
getting
kick
some-
it off.
Well,
I got
let's
8
wrap
minutes.
with Jalal and David's favorite performances of the year, and then we'll do a closer and we'll call it, because I know we have a couple of bleary-eyed people here.
I'm sorry, you guys. Let's do to close it out with after we do the performances. Close it out with what we think is going to win. Should we do Best Picture? Should we do all three of the top
documentary
categories?
feature.
That's a good
That's
race.
easy. Flea is going to win that.
I
How
don't
many
know
awards
that
is
it
Flea
is.
going to win? That's the
Flea or
question.
Summer of the Soul.
Or
I like
The
Summer of
Rescue.
Soul. Summer of
But
Soul
But
is
I'm,
going to win.
but I'm rooting for the rescue in
The
documentary.
Rescue's great too.
That's so
Yeah.
good.
On
And so
Disney Plus.
Summer
we
of
keep
Soul.
cutting David off. David, what's your favorite
Okay, go
performance?
ahead, David.
So I want to talk about two people who are obvious and two people who are not, maybe less obvious. I found a thematic connection between Kristen Stewart's performance and Benedict Cumberbatch's performance. Both of these people are surrounded by all this largesse. They have more money than they know what to do with, and they are suffocating from the inside because they cannot be themselves. And the difference being, of course, is that Kristen Stewart her character found a way out until the paparazzi chased her down. And Benedict Cumberbatch never could. I mean, he just was too trapped. So I thought watching those two performances and that sort of just that struggle to breathe, I thought was fascinating. As far as two people who maybe aren't, but we definitely have talked about tonight, Oscar Isaac in The Card Counter. I mean, the minimalism that he is capable of, and then to watch what he did in Scenes from a Marriage, which is much more expansive, sort of a performance. He just confounds. I mean, he has no Oscar nominations. Oscar has no Oscars. I mean, it's upsetting to me. It's like Donald Sutherland. They had to wait till he was like 95 and give him an honorary thing. Don't do this to Oscar Isaac. Now,
And his name's Oscar.
His name is Oscar. Synergy. And then as far as a performance that did more with less than anything I've seen all year, Lakeith Stanfield in The Harder They Fall, every goddamn line reading is just amazing. Every little look, nuance, everything about him. He's one of the most fascinating actors to watch because you never know what the hell you're going to get. I spoke to the editor of the film today, and he said he was very hard to edit because he would give you 6 different takes and you had to figure out not only which one of his was the best, but which one of his matched what the reactions to what he was doing. And he said it was very challenging, but it was a gift. It was able to be the best kind of challenging. So, I just think that guy, I don't really care what he does in the future. He can do an animated movie
terrific.
that has music in it, and those are two things that are like kryptonite to me, and I will probably show up for it. So there you go.
And Jalal, what were some of yours?
Me.
I'm on camera.
I've already talked about the Serbian actress from I can never pronounce the film. I'm sorry.
Quo vadis? No. What is it again? Oh.
Just
Ada.
mumble when you say it.
Yeah.
He's like,
You're good.
So I wanted to focus on a performance that I think has been like criminally underrated this season. It's Martha Plimpton in Mass.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
gracious me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
All of the
You know.
performances in Mass. Oh,
Yeah.
the quartet of them were phenomenal, but Martha Plimpton is just she should have been campaigned as a lead
Oh,
actress.
God.
And it's just something that I don't think I'll ever be able to shake, because what she does with that role, she infuses, like, it's an entire arc in just one room. And she is able to kind of embody the pain of an entire country right now.
Wow, that's so interesting.
And she also infuses humor into it in the right ways. Like, you kind of laugh at the right moments because her reactions are exactly what you think how you'd be reacting. And she's just so relatable, and something I never thought I'd see Martha Plimpton do. And I'm not even a parent, so like, but she kind of made me feel like it was the most, like, I think it was the most, how do I put this? The most in those shoes I could ever feel was watching that performance, and it's something I'll never ever be able to shake.
She should have been campaigned in lead. I think
agree.
I could have made a pretty good case for her in that. I would like to write up Mass. I feel like it's getting the shaft so bad, and there's no way to really bring it back, you know.
Eld's doing
But
right.
maybe
Eld's
it'll
doing
get an
all right with it.
ensemble nod, you know. What do you
Sure.
think?
I wish that was like the type of movie where every single actor got in. Like, it got 4 acting nominations. Like, say they did lead, actor, actress, supporting. I wish it just ran the table, because, like, good God, all 4 of them together.
They're so good. I mean, that is, like, people say, you know, but I don't see rescuing it. I don't see at this stage. There's so many movies in competition, but so many great performances.
Its best shot's probably original screenplay. It's doing pretty well there, and with Dowd. And the acting, like you said, the acting races are pretty crowded, but original screenplay, I could see it getting in, maybe, and taking King Richard's spot. You know,
No way. It's not going to take King Richard's spot. But I'm sorry, you're the predictor who's like
No,
10
you're the
times better
predictor.
than. You're the one that always tops
and I'm
all
not-
the charts, man.
I have it.
I don't make the charts. Marcus,
I have it down at 9
like top 4 or something like that of all time, the best
all time.
predictors. So
of all time.
something
I
like
have it
that.
down at 9. I have it down at 9, so it's not. I'm not.
All right, let
saying
me
it
ask
was-
you guys about
so.
Drive My Car. Do you think, just really quickly, do you think that it's going to get in for anything? The fact that both critics groups picked it as their top prize usually means it gets in for at least a Best Picture nomination. I think only one hasn't. I don't remember what that was, but whatever it was when they only had 5. Ever since they've had 10, it easily gets in. I watched it, and I watched it thinking, no way is this getting in. But what do you guys think?
Leaving Las Vegas was the one that didn't get in. That had both.
Leaving Las Vegas, yeah.
95.
Right.
I don't know.
And that might
I
have
think
gotten in with an expanded ballot.
maybe we've had an international director every year, so I don't have him in yet, but I have him close.
But I think it was Ryan that brought up the screenplay. I think maybe that gets him closer to a screenplay nomination.
Well, what about picture?
No, I don't think so.
There are 2 things that worry me about picture in that film. It's like the fact that, like, I don't think its distributor is very big, right?
Right.
I think Clarence, you know who the distributor is?
I
just
don't.
watched it.
It doesn't have like a neon behind it.
No,
and also
No,
like,
or a Sony Pictures. It doesn't have any,
And you kind of reference the, like, there's always now an international director in that category. But usually now the international director, like the foreign language director, it has like the push of Europe behind them, whether it be something like Cold War, or I forgot what it was last year, or even Parasite, which obviously is not European, but Parasite had Cannes behind it. So I don't know how, like, if the European branch is as obsessed with Drive My Car as
well, Parasite had Bong Joon-ho showing up at every award show. Like, he wouldn't even went to the HCAs, for goodness sake. Like, no disrespect, but I'm just saying, like, he was everywhere. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
I was just saying, but Parasite already early on was starting to build the Best Picture thing, and despite it winning all this critic stuff, and this is just a perception, just kind of reading vaguely online, is it's not even guaranteed to win foreign language. I mean, it seems like it is the most respected right now, but it doesn't seem like everyone's united behind it completely as the guarantee. So I don't know exactly where it's situated is. I think after a few more awards, we might be able to figure out where.
Well, I tell you, Parallel Mothers is pretty incredible.
It's not.
I don't know how
not.
many.
It's not submitted though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not.
Spain went with the Bardem film, The Good
Oh.
Boss.
Didn't they always just go with Pedro?
Yeah. Should they? Yes, they should.
That sucks.
Janus Films
Janus
has
Films,
Drive
yeah.
My Car. Yeah.
Janus Films
but
has that. Okay.
I think Drive My Car is in a pretty comfortable spot though for international. I thought Worst Person in the World would do a lot better with critics, and that hasn't really done much.
Mark, you saw Drive My Car. Do you think it's a
I
Best
did.
Picture nominee?
Do I think it could? Yes. Do I think it will? I'm not ready to go there yet, but I'm also not willing to go with Spider-Man yet either. So, I don't know what to say there. I'm not there yet, but it could. I think it definitely could. I'm going to stick with I think directors. It's most likely spot.
I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll see.
The trend
It's
that we've
not
seen though,
Parasite.
it's not.
Do you think
But
some
it's
people
better.
would
But it's
be-
better than another round. I thought.
It's better than Another Round. It's not as good as Parasite. It's not as good as Cold War.
Right. But another round got in.
But
from
Another
director.
Round had Guillermo del Toro on Twitter pushing it. Like that was
and
a
this
big,
has and this has New York and LA.
Well, didn't another
Who
round get in
cares?
because of
Is that not good?
the personal story?
nobody cares about them anymore. I'm sorry, but
No.
they
Okay.
don't. No,
All right.
I don't think. But anyway.
Yeah.
Who asked the question? About
Oh,
what was
all
it?
I said,
Drive My
all I
Car?
said was just that another round got in because of its personal story, not because of the film.
All I know is that the person pushing Another Round was my friend Bumble Ward, and she was relentless. Like it often comes down to the publicist pushing, and my
Okay.
friend Leia is pushing Mass, and she has something else, and she is relentless too. She's pushing. Bumble Ward pushing Another Round. She kept telling me, "This movie's going to get in. This movie's going to get in. You know, I just want to warn you." It's
Wow.
gonna, and I was like, "Yeah, whatever. It's not going to get in." And then I saw Guillermo tweeting about it. And I was like, "Oh shit, maybe it will," because he's like, king of the directors. And so if he's telling all of his friends, "This is a great movie, you have to pick," then that's what. But I think you really need someone. I don't think the critics are enough. I think you need that. It was Leia pushing Parasite, like you need people who are relentless on that to get it in, So
should we wrap?
Yeah.
I think we should wrap. Do you want to do a quick round of what's going to win Best Picture, and then we'll say goodnight? How about
Sure.
that? I think Belfast is winning.
I do too.
Megan, I think's Belfast. Anybody
Yes.
other than Belfast?
I mean,
Power
I'm
of the Dog.
terrible at this, but I'm going Belfast too. I mean, but I always watch the Oscars with my heart, which is the stupidest thing you could ever do.
It's hard not to, man. It's hard not to.
And I need to say while I'm here, Mark, La La Land did deserve to win Best Picture. I'm with you on that.
Listen, both films deserved it. They're both phenomenal films. They're both in my top 10 of the decade. I love them both.
Moonlight was on
You
my
know
top.
what? I've been so nice tonight. No,
But then I just keep hearing on podcasts Mark getting bashed for that. Up till now, I had to say I was on his side.
I
could go
took
a half
all
an
that.
hour
I
on
took
La
all
La
that shit
Land.
to start the show, so I didn't say a word.
All right, I'm good.
I love it. Listen, La La Land had stacked against it a couple of different things. First of all, it didn't have a big cast. That's always a problem. You need a bigger cast than a smaller cast to win Best Picture. You can overcome that if you're Clint Eastwood and you made $1 Million Baby, but usually no. It also,
Redland.
yeah, there you go.
Last year,
That
you got
defies
to put an asterisk.
That
next
blows
to
that
everything
out.
last year. Just take out.
Nomadland
last year out of
breaks
the equation.
every rule.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm dragging this on. I apologize. I said
Oh, you're
Power
fine.
of Dog, my choice. I'm
No,
going
it's
with my
good. I
heart.
like Cantankerous. It works for me. It's a good thing. Nice to have that.
It's that antagonist thing.
All right, how many for Belfast and how many for Power of the Dog? Belfast, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4,
yeah.
5. Power of the Dog. I can't see you, Jalal. I know he's Power of the Dog.
Chirp.
So 3. Okay, so Belfast. Isn't it funny that at the end of the day, it's still Belfast, even though we had all these other movies come out?
Well, for now it
I
is. And listen, if it's Belfast or Power of the Dog, I'm gonna be very happy. I love both those movies.
Well, do you
so
think it could be anything else? Or are we going with that Golden Globe screenplay stat?
I like that stat. So right now I'm
Because
sticking
that
with
stat
West
says West Side Story can't win Best Picture.
I would love it if West Side Story won, because then Twitter would explode and it would be wonderful.
you,
I'd
you
love
just
to see
you're
it
the
winner.
you
can't win.
Joey.
Is it?
Joey
like
is the
the
Twitter
drama.
antagonist. Then
He loves the
Yes.
drama.
Joey
you love
likes
the drama. You're the antagonist.
Joey should go on TikTok and do that meme that says, "Am I the drama? I'm the drama." All right, you
Yeah.
guys. It's
Wait,
been
why
really
would Twitter be
wonderful.
mad at Joey? Wait, real quick. Sorry, I thought Twitter liked
yeah,
West Side
no.
Story.
I
No.
can talk forever, but Jalal, you and I are in LA. It's not really fair.
They've
I know.
they've turned on it for sure. I mean, they're talking about like
Really?
I saw somebody say today. They really should have updated the story. The story's just so old, and I'm like, it's
What?
fucking Romeo
They
and
are
Juliet.
turning
What
on it. They're totally turning on it. They're acting like it's low box office meant something about the quality of the film instead of the fact that nobody went out to see it. And I mean, not
supposed to-
because of any reason except, they're not, because they didn't see The Last Duel. They didn't see, I mean, they did see House of Gucci, bait and switch. I thought it was going to be a good film.
I'm making the
I
pizza.
have talked to 7 people in the past week who said, "Oh, I thought it was coming out next week at Christmas."
Megan
I
did.
thought it
Megan
was.
Megan
I
mentioned
thought
that.
too. I
Yeah.
was confused.
So
But,
maybe it'll
like,
make
That's
more money.
Cyrano.
No, it's not going to make more money because Spider-Man is taking all the screens over Christmas. They're literally
Spider-Man.
like Nightmare Alley, West Side Story. They're all getting rid of them.
I don't know
Also,
if
I
Disney
will-
Plus doesn't just put it out there right now and just because I think that could really, really help too. That's how I was hoping to see it. So
I will say that the screenings, there are only 2 screenings a day at my AMC, and they're at the worst possible time. Like, I haven't been able to see it because I can't get there's only 2 screenings. Like, and that has been an issue.
It's
So-
like we saw this coming in that year that the final Star Wars came out, and we saw Disney bullying movie theaters. If they didn't play Star Wars a certain amount of times a day, they revoked their
Wow.
privilege to play it at all.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Oh, my
I never
God.
heard that.
So
Terrible.
we're
So then do you
there.
think
We
that
should
they
go,
have-
guys.
or they force people to see it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Guys, happy
Happy holidays to you
Thanks for
too.
Thanks,
watching.
Sasha, for everything.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Sasha.
Yes.
Have a good one. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
God bless us, everyone.
God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.